Well, hi, this is Jay Arthur, author of Lean Six Sigma Demystified and the QI Macros. Now, I go to these conferences and everybody keeps regurgitating the same high-level concept, and I want to debunk it a little bit. Everybody says you must get top leadership, so you must get the C-suite, the CEO and the COO and everybody else. You get these people on board, and that will make Six Sigma a success. Well, here's the problem. That's not true. There's over 50 years of research into how cultures adopt, adapt, and reject change. And they have found that if you do this, you only have a 50% chance of success. That's less than 1 sigma. Now, everybody reports about the ones that succeeded by doing this, but nobody tells the story of the ones that failed. Now, I was in the phone company. We failed, following this exact strategy. Now, the people I know who are being successful are going at it a little differently. And again, back to how do we do this? It's pretty simple, right? You don't start with the formal leadership. Right? These are our formal leaders. You start with the informal leader. And the informal leader is somewhere down in the organization. Right? They're down here somewhere. But these people are who everybody goes to for information. Right? These are the people that run the company, if you will. Right? And there might be a mid-level manager, they might be a worker on the factory floor, but John or Susie knows everything about how this place works. And so if you go in, these people are connected to everybody. Everybody talks to them, right? They're the hub, and they have spokes off to everybody else in their neighborhood. And if you take that person there and make them successful, right? These are the informal leaders. If I could spell informal leaders. If you make that informal leader successful, guess what? They tell everybody. They control the dialogue, right? Out in Hawaii, they have a phrase, they call it the coconut wireless, right? It's the word of mouth that triggers and connects everyone. So if we go out and start making those people successful, that's how it works. I knew one guy who worked at Florida Power and Light, and they had a whole top-down CEO-driven thing. The new CEO came in and ripped out their total quality management thing. And then the next CEO came in and brought it back in. But the guy in charge of doing this said, well, I can't do this the way we did it before. So he just went out and he found people in the organization who had problems with power outages or whatever the heck it was. And he said, well, let me see if I can do a little digging and figure out how to help you with that. And he'd go do some data analysis, and he'd go find the center of influence, and he'd help them build an improvement story that was easy for the leadership team to understand and get the funding to go make that happen. And guess what? He would go make that person successful. Well, then they told everybody they knew. And pretty soon this guy was busier than a bee running around helping other groups start to spin up their improvement efforts, right? And he kept looking for those little people in the organization that were centers of influence, and he would go out of his way to make those people successful. And what happens is, as you get up at least 4% of the organization doing it, it'll stick. You get to 20, 25%, and it will take over the organization and just completely transform the organization. So you have a choice. This way is a little slower, but a lot more effective. This way guarantees you a 50-50 chance of success, but don't buy the BS that this is the only way to achieve that. Right? That's a message that consultants send so they can get into the deep pockets of the organization and start training a whole bunch of people. Now, if they're training a whole bunch of people, it may not be these people. And you may not be making the right people successful. So, that's my message for this week. Forget that top-down formal leadership stuff. Go find the informal leaders and make them wildly successful, and your culture will shift.